Hello, welcome to NP Reacts. I'm Palmer, and I will be joined in a minute by Narys, and together we're going to react to things. Narys is a leader of a multi-gaming community called Hand of Unity, and they're going to play Ashes of Creation. They also play all sorts of other games, and we're going to react to a stream that was came out recently from the Ashes of Creation devs showing off a new combat system. So let's do that. Narys, hello, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks, Palmer. And yourself?
I'm extremely well. Can you see the video?
I can indeed. I'm excited to see some good old combat.
Yeah, so this is, I think they demonstrated this in a recent live stream. They do live streams once a month or so. And there'd been some controversy, I think, about the combat because you and I both played in the Alpha 1. And a lot of here's Stephen Sharif is going to talk to us about combat. A lot of people thought the combat wasn't really very good, to be honest, in the Alpha 1, and they've been promising to make it better, and this was their chance to demonstrate that it has got better. I haven't seen this video yet. I think you've seen it before, but I haven't actually seen this. I've heard it's good though. I've heard that they show us good stuff. Is that right?
It was pretty breathtaking, I must admit, and I really did get distracted by the ship in the background because it was a bit slow, but it was quite impressive in terms of the sails and the movement.
Yeah, that ship looks amazing, and one of the things I loved about Arcade, which I know Stephen was a big Arcade player, was the naval combat and just messing around on the ships and doing stuff at sea. So I'm really hoping that we get a lot of that in Arcade.
Glad to be here.
We should perhaps listen to Stephen, but of course, if you want to listen to Stephen, the original video is out there on YouTube and quite easy to find. So we're not going to listen to him that much because, if you want to listen to him, you can do that. I think the grass looks amazing as well in this, and I just love it. To be honest, I know a lot of people have said Ashes has got brilliant graphics, but sometimes I haven't thought the graphics are that good. They kind of look weird. Like I think the anti-aliasing, I don't know how it's pronounced, hasn't been on or something. But this just looks fantastic. This looks brilliant with a little ruin in the background and the rocks and the sky. I mean, if I bought this game and logged on to this game and looked at this, I would be happy, especially with that ship in the background. Well, what do you think of this? What do you think of the way this environment looks?
I think it really blends together well now. It's looking a lot smoother, and the characters don't look so out of place. Whereas in Alpha 1, they kind of looked, starkly different to the environment. But yeah, it's really coming along nice from a visual point of view.
Yeah, and in fairness to them, it was a proper alpha. It's not like some of these games where they call it an alpha, but really it's just early access, and they're charging huge sums of money for it. They've always made it clear that alpha really is an unfinished, in fact, not just unfinished, but it's going to take you. How long do you think it's going to take? My guess is Alpha 2 end of this year, Beta next year, maybe release end of next year, but I mean, I wouldn't be that surprised if it's a year after, to be honest. That's purely just guesswork on my part. I don't know.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm a little bit more pessimistic than that, Palmer. I think Alpha 2 probably next year, and then I'm thinking probably maybe 8 months of Alpha 2 before Beta 1 comes, and then Beta 2. Yeah, I'm a little bit, pessimistic, but I think Stephen is very he's a bit of a perfectionist, isn't he? He has really high standards, which is a good thing, but it's a double-edged sword because the game's going to take a while. We want to get our hands on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess really I hope that they take the time to get it right, and that's the benefit of having a very rich man making the game as opposed to some sort of company with lots of shareholders, I suppose. They don't have quite the same pressure to rush out the door and take all our money before the game is ready. I'll be quite pleased if we get to play Alpha for a long time. I think, that's going to be, it sucks for people who don't have Alpha access, but personally I'm quite happy about that and looking forward to that. And you and I both played in Alpha 1, and we had how many people did we have in Alpha 1? It was about 20 or so, wasn't it? Hand of Unity people?
Active. I mean, on the roster we had about 40 to 50, but yeah, it was quite a larger number. But again, you know, kind of some people played and ran out of content and then just kind of, you know, quit and went back to other games. But we got over 100 in Alpha 2. So
wow.
Let's focus
more than 100. That's I didn't know that. That's quite, you know, that's going to be really good fun. Like, I hope they do. I'm sure they will have. All right, hang on.
Probably an area that you guys are
familiar with.
I think he's going to hit something with his big sword.
Yeah, Stephen's finished the disclaimers. You're in for some fun.
Yeah, I mean, perhaps we should just repeat what Stephen always said. It's early. It's his pre-alpha, post-alpha 1, pre-alpha 2. Not the finished game, all subject to change. Oh, look at that crystal in the background on the right. That's quite nice.
How this process began.
Wow, that's a nice looking altar.
Yeah,
defining good combat.
I love the weather.
And the cloak animations, they're good, but they do seem a little bit kind of buggy at points.
I would say
it moves a lot, that cloak. I guess you can get too fussy about things when you're looking at things too carefully, but it really moves around a lot.
Gameplay under our belts. Collectively.
Yeah, but the armor and the sword and everything.
Look at that tree. Oh, the tree looks fucking nice. Excuse my language, although you're going to hear a lot more. That's a lovely sort of... well, it's like a fantasy tree, but you will find trees like that in woods in England.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Too, I'm
so
sure.
it starts there.
Oh, wow. This seems a bit trap-worthy, Palmer.
Bit what?
Bit like a trap. Oh, there's a lot.
We study it. We form hypotheses about what
look at those
exactly
those
animations.
Feel good or not feel good.
Oh, look at the slash.
And then we make those things in as controlled a manner as we can.
Wow, moving smooth.
Throwing boulders.
We see what feels good, what doesn't feel good.
It's nice to see that they've eliminated the kind of floaty feeling from Alpha 1 as well.
And we put them to the test.
There's a...
And this is
that was nice. I like the way it collapsed, the death animation.
None of these things are like form your theory on paper.
Yeah.
Go and you make the thing and it comes
It
out.
looks to me... Oh, multiple. Oh, nice.
Not super great.
Oh, wow, it's a big hammer. Seems AoE kind of proximity swings are in, impressively.
That had a lovely... I don't know, is it a particle? A lovely effect on the ground when a hammer hit the ground and it sort of smashes up the ground and makes cracks on the ground. That was really good.
Definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how kind of CC works in the game, though, because that had quite a big window to get disrupted.
Yeah, which is fantastic in PvP. And that did, because I like the floating numbers, so that did, I think, 2,600. So it did a lot of damage in one go. So that'll be great in PvP if you've got a big attack that does a load of damage, but actually can be interrupted. That would enable an element of real sort of skill in there to see the animation and interrupt the attack.
The pacing of this kind of heavier weapon,
and this looks a lot more fun than it. Looks like, I'm assuming that this is action mode. I wouldn't mind if they get rid of the two modes, because in Alpha 1 they had two different modes. They had action mode and I don't know what you call it, non-action mode. But I wouldn't mind if they just say no, everybody's going to play action mode. This is clearly action mode, I think. And this looks like good action combat, like I don't know, sort of, or maybe hybrid, but say like Elder Scrolls or something.
Specific types of materials represented.
It's got a Guild Wars 2 vibe to it for me.
Per se, right? You kind of
haven't played a lot of Guild Wars 2.
And if
it's it's just very kind of action orientated in the movement and the skills, but just on a grander, more polished level.
They have some really
cool aspects. The dodge Palmer.
Yeah. The animation team did an amazing job with the rolls here. I am loving, and also they're like death effects.
Bits are flying everywhere. It's spectacular. Look at that.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice. So much better than Alpha 1 just by the look of it. And you can just, I don't know, you just imagine playing this and imagine moving around, and especially in combat, making use of that mobility. And of course, this is, well, I don't know if this is a tank character. It's probably not. It's probably a melee DPS character. Do you think?
Impact, that is one of the combat pillars.
Yeah, kind of the lighter armor and the kind of mobility to me. Yeah, it doesn't suggest that it's a tank because it's too quick, it's too light on its feet. So maybe the fighter class, possibly.
Yeah, I would guess this is probably the fight. It's not a rogue class. It's more of a. It's quite nice that you can have, just based on what we're seeing here anyway, a DPS class that uses a big sword, because in a lot of MMOs you kind of have to choose if you want to have a big sword, and some people just like having a big sword, you know. If you want to have a big sword, then you have to be a tank, and if you want to do DPS, then you can't have a big sword. I know it sounds like a small thing, but actually, if you like, some people end up, they play these tank characters because they just want to be that type of class for like role-playing purposes, like role-playing in a very light way, but then they find that they can't because they have to tank. They don't want to tank, so this is quite nice.
Yeah, the flexibility is good, isn't it? It kind of gives you options, and yeah, you can pick your own weapon, your own armor, your own play style, so you're not kind of pigeonholed into certain roles or certain behaviors.
Defining
oh wow, look at those.
approach on
yeah.
weapon attacks. How did you blend those two?
These mobs are really nice. And you know, what I like about it doesn't look like MMO combat. It almost looks more, I mean, like I said, you say it reminds you of Guild Wars 2, which I haven't played, but this almost reminds me of a console game, which for me is a good thing. Because I just think like games, some console games actually have much better gameplay in terms of not like PC games can do a lot more sort of complex stuff like with crafting and with housing and what have you, but actually a lot of console games have better combat than any PC game, and this reminds me of a really good console game.
It's definitely got that kind of movement and the polished quality to it, doesn't it, for sure.
Yeah.
And tried incorporating that into our classic MMO base.
I must admit, the damage numbers have come a long way since Alpha 1 as well.
I think it all comes
I love the way you can see the damage numbers, but they don't look too intrusive. You know, they're really easy to see, and you don't have to look at some chat box down the corner to see what damage you're doing. But they look good. They kind of fit in the GUI and the environment really well. I love the way that these monsters. So some of them just rise up, but some of them are like little rolling boulders that roll towards you.
Combat is take any moment in combat, pause time.
Some good variation, and I even just noticed now that it even leaves footprints behind the character as well.
Oh.
So with these weapons, even though there are little
stuff is happening to the ground. Oh, and also when he swings his sword, if he hits the ground, it makes an indentation.
Ooh. And do you see he just switched to daggers temporarily then?
Oh no, I missed that. Let's see if I can get that again.
At 1.1 iteration we had it where
you see, this is the stuff that's because I hadn't actually noticed. I saw that when he did the hammer, I saw what it did to the ground, but I hadn't noticed that with the sword. Oh, here we go. Here are daggers.
In the middle of that attack.
But that kind of thing is actually really cool because it just seems really natural and it fits in. Oh, that's such a nice. Yeah, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. With Alpha 1,
now I've equipped these daggers,
and I wasn't worried about the game because I knew it was Alpha 1, and I knew it was early, and I knew it was a real alpha. But in some ways, it wasn't a great game. But this just looks. If I'd never heard of Ashes of Creation and somebody said, "Oh, look at this," and first of all, I'd say, "Yeah, this is some sort of action RPG, isn't it?" And if they said, "No, this is a new MMO," I'd be saying, "Fucking hell, this looks really good. This is really exciting as an MMO." So I'm happy with it.
It's impressive, and when you think this is, the foundation, these are basic attacks, there's so much more, progress that's going to be made over time, so it's going to be phenomenal when it's done.
Yeah. Although presumably, I know they say these are basic attacks, but presumably, I mean, the hammer thing at least must be an ability. Surely, I don't know.
I don't know if it's kind of working on a combo system where you work up strikes and then the final strike's the kind of big strike. So
Peter might want to talk more
Yeah, maybe.
about the
But
animation
I don't know.
we introduced.
But no, overall, it's well. I mean, the daggers are maybe a little bit too fast in places.
Yeah, but actually, look at that. It is faster than the. I like it though because it has to be different to the sword. And what you've got here, I'm guessing at least, is the same. Well, it must be the same class, the same abilities, the same armor and everything, but just a different weapon. And actually, the gameplay is a little bit different. You know, it's different enough that changing your weapon actually is going to change the way that you play. Not that much, because it's the same abilities, I guess, but the sword is slow compared, and then the daggers are super fast. I think that's good. And I love
I know what you mean. It does give that weapon identity, doesn't it?
Well, it gives you options, because you're playing the game, you've got your character, you know, and if you want to do something different, you don't need to.
Here. I mean, on the animation team,
Because this is like with the game I just mentioned, which I've totally forgotten, the Elder Scrolls Online. Your abilities are tied to your weapon, but here I don't think that's it. I think your abilities are tied to your class, and you will have some specs. But from the look of this, you also then have the option of changing weapons and actually having a slightly different experience.
In our combat system is,
which is nice.
It was super important that the animators, you know, get all of that.
Absolutely, and I must admit that the male Pyre is looking really nice. The model,
the what?
The actual race that he's playing, the male Pyre.
Oh, that's a Pyre, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so that's basically your kind of standard wood elf, and we've seen some kind of concept arts on the stream up to now, and kind of a few, you know, kind of sketches, but it's really come together nicely.
Yep.
Finalize those animations by chopping up our abilities.
And that made a huge thing on the ground. Right, should we listen to? Let's listen for a bit. I've got no idea what they're saying. I don't know if what they're saying is interesting, but we should probably have a quick listen and hear what they're saying.
Okay.
Yeah, the animation team definitely had to take a deep breath when we went to them like, hey, you know those 3-part weapon combos that we like so much? We want different ones for each direction that you can move in.
So there are combos.
And also you need to be able to weave between the directionals at any time.
That is pretty funny. One of the things that's interesting and is always
run to the boat, Stephen. Go on.
For those of us who have perhaps played different games and have become accustomed to specific visual representation of these damage floating text, right? And I want to showcase a little bit. I'm going to let them hit on me for a little bit just so you can kind of see directionally damage you take, which is indicated in this red number, floats towards your left-hand side. And when you do damage to a target, they float to your right-hand side.
Oh.
Now, one of the very important
That's
aspects
impressive.
of these floating texts is providing the player with customization options that they can adjust the size of the floating text, they can adjust the color composition on how these texts are represented. They can also include damage icons to indicate the ability that's used for those
See, that was my concern with no add-ons, you know, it's just having that level of customizability, but it sounds like, you know, Intrepid are working really hard on the user interface so you can change things to play your way.
Yeah, so the idea that you can create different icons for different types of damage, I mean, especially, I don't know, if you're a tank, I imagine, that's going to be really useful to let you set that up in that way.
Now we've changed the colors. Whoops, hold on, let me see, make sure. Is that color going off differently? Or
each swing just with the sword feels so heavy, which is really nice.
Still yellow. Is it? Okay, let me try this. All right, quick.
Well, it's so important if you're grinding, and I like grinding. This is going to sound weird to some people, but I actually prefer the game where you can level by going out into the world and finding something interesting to kill.
The color is changing now, and that's something that the player has agency over.
Oh, it's changed the colors.
Assign different types of colors.
Wow.
Oh, there's a bit of blue there.
that was changing. I think the one I was pressing actually was changing.
And I think in games like Age of Conan, you know, when you used to grind in like Cachetta, you know, with Dark Master handling camps, you know, when you had an interesting combat system with the directions, it made the grind interesting, it made it fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to do. I want to go out and kill things and have an interesting. I want to explore and like find different things to kill. But for me personally, and I know other people are different. I just prefer that to doing quests all the time.
Oh yeah, sometimes the best flavor is.
Yeah, absolutely. Because quests are okay, but after a while, you want to do something different.
Yeah. And it almost becomes like, this is my big hope for Ashes, and I know you get up your hopes about a game and you sort of end up imagining a perfect game, but with a world that's going to change a bit, with the seasons changing and the world changing and the seasons change, and as the nodes change, it almost becomes a bit like a quest, a kind of a quest, like finding stuff and finding stuff to do and learning how the world is changing and learning sort of where to go. And for me, that's more interesting than having an NPC sort of say, you know, go here and go there and having it marked on the map. So, but having interesting combat is going to be a big part of it, because what I'm trying to say is I like exploring the world, and I'm hoping this will be a game where exploring the world is a good thing to do. But then having good combat so you can fight things along the way is going to be a big part of that.
Absolutely, and it's kind of a shame when, you know, in other games like Arcade, you know, which initially rewarded you for exploring, kind of suddenly penalizes it or just puts it as an afterthought.
Yeah. Is also the visual effects. And weapon trailings, the intensity of those weapon trailings.
A lot of MMOs, they kind of have two parts to them. I mean, the one part is, even if you're directed by people, by quest givers, you're exploring the world, you're moving around the world, finding new places, and an end game is doing the same thing over and over and over. And that's not, well, it's kind of fun. I mean, it was fun in arcades where what you were doing was going out on a boat and robbing people.
Really
I always enjoy doing that.
Like, we want to pass the artists.
I think, to be honest, I spend most of my time just slashing my longsword into the ground, looking at these animations.
As precisely as they can.
It's impressive. And the slash even changes based upon the direction.
And we really wanted to build on a technical side. We really wanted to build the combat system to, like I said earlier, be as physical as possible. So we have
that follow through after the spin, then that was impressive.
Based on a reference of animation as opposed to like nebulous timings, right? Which allows it to feel very impactful and very responsive. So when you hit the ground decal actually appears.
Don't worry, Palmer. Norton's protecting you, man. It's got you back.
It's something that we've seen in other MMOs. So we really wanted to make a big focus
those indentations in the ground.
Focus on the responsiveness.
I'm going to get told off for having Norton. A lot of people say that Norton is it. Probably shouldn't say this, I get sued by Mr. Norton, but a lot of people say Norton is itself like a virus. I'm sure that's not true, though.
Oh no, definitely not. Please don't sue us.
But here you're seeing him in.
Oh, look at the reflections in the sword, Palmer. You can actually see the environment.
That's amazing
in the game, and that's pretty cool to see. I can't wait for players to kind of get a look at the customization options in the character creator for this.
I must admit, and I think you'll agree that this character almost looks a little bit like Falman, Palmer, on the other Cody here.
Really important, I think, is the audio component, and Cat has done a.
No, overall, very impressive. A lot of work's gone into it, and you know there's still a lot of work ahead. But wow, it's night and day compared to All for One, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is looking good, and this really, I have confidence in it. I always had confidence in the game, but I mean, looking at this, I think my confidence is justified. I mean, they've reached a point where they can show you. I know we're only seeing a very small area and one player and one set of mobs, but I mean, if the rest of the game matches this for quality in any way, if the other monsters are they're going to have a variety of monsters who are equally interesting, and the animation is as good, and the other classes are as good, and the other weapons are as good, and who knows, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But if they do, then this is going to be a good game.
I'm really excited to see
this video,
what we have in store for
we've seen a good like 25 minutes of this. I think we've probably seen it. Is there anything else? Anything else you want to say? Should we call a stop to it here? But I mean, is there anything else you want to say to sum up, Narys?
No, I think overall, it's kind of a long video, which is good because it shows off things and allows people to get a good look. But I think we've really kind of touched on the heart of everything, haven't we? To be honest.
Yeah, marks out of 10. What do you want to give this out of 10?
Absolutely.
For me, I think it's going to be an 8 out of 10. I'm going to knock some points off for the janky cape, and I'm going to knock a point off for the daggers being a little bit too fast and the animations being a bit in your face and over the top. What about you, Palmer?
Oh, I like the fast daggers. Yeah, that cape is just moves too much. I'm tempted to like go over the top and give it a very high mark, but I'm just going to say 8 because that wouldn't be cool. If I gave it too high a mark, it would be uncool. I'm going to have to give it 8 as well, just because I don't know. I don't want people calling me a fanboy or accusing me of taking the copium too much. But actually,
and so we implemented a few different camera effects.
Yeah, high marks. I'm quite pleased about this. This is the first. What did we agree to call this? PNN? Are we going to call this PNN?
MP React. The Narys goes first, Palmer. Even though you came up with the idea.
NP React. So we should just. I tell you what, Narys. Tell us a little bit, very briefly. Hand of Unity. It's a gaming community, so it's not just Ashes of Creation, but. In terms of Ashes, very, very briefly, what are we up to in Hand of Unity? Are we ready for Ashes? Are we getting ready for Alpha 2?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we kind of started in Alpha 1, we hit the ground running, got a kind of server first and even a world first. So, we're really, really invested in the game. We hit it hard. Over 100 people in Alpha 2, like I said. So, we are planning already. We're getting, kind of spreadsheets done, bot things done, lots of things happening behind the scenes. So we are going to be doing everything in Alpha 2. And if, you're just interested in the game, feel free to hop on the Discord. We're always, willing to chat with people who have an interest and a passion for Ashes, because we've been following it ever since the Kickstarter. So big plans, big ambitions, and if you'd like to be part of that journey, then do feel free to stop by.
Yeah, and we'll have some details in the description on this video, or join a different Ashes guild if you want to. Other guilds are available, because this video isn't all meant to be about promoting us, but we're going to promote ourselves a little bit too. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Do like and subscribe. That helps the algorithm, as they all say, and watch out for the next one. Thank you very much. Goodbye.